Hi everyone, I'm Miss Corrigan. For those who don't know who I am, I'm one of the music teachers here at Legacy. Today, my 5th and 6th graders are going to be making with me this awesome captain's cap, and this is what you will be wearing at the Veterans Day performance. The same design will be applied for Air Force and Marine Corps. The difference is how you're going to be decorating your hat. So let's begin. The materials you're going to need for this project are the 19 by 25 inch poster board. You can probably yield about 2 of these from a typical poster board size, the supersized ones, but this is the size that you're going to ultimately want to have because the strip definitely needs to be about 25 inches, and as you can see, all of my cutouts take up a fair amount of space, so you want to allow for that. I will be providing stencils to allow you to trace all 3 things. Those will be ready to go with your teacher. So you have the poster board. I have a little measuring tape just to ensure accuracy of the measurements. If you have one, it's always handy to have. You will need white duct tape, scissors, staples or staplers, and the decorations for the final part. This is the Air Force emblem, but you will be provided with whichever branch of the military emblem pertains to your grade. So these are some stickers as well to help with the decoration process. Once you've cut out the stencil tracings, these are the 3 pieces that you should have. This approximate 2 inch by 25 inch strip. You should have the round circle, not with the cutouts yet. We'll get to that in a second. And you should have the visor. So for the strip here, what you're going to do is bend it over, neatly folding it, and just making sure that any rough edges are concealed. The way to do that is to take the factory cut edge and make sure that's visible. The manually cut edge, you can just leave that slightly below, and that way it's just easily concealed in the final product. So it should be bent this way. And the way to try the size on is just to simply wrap it around your head like this, right around where your forehead is, just to see how much you need to staple. So I have about this much left, which is perfectly fine. That allows me to staple it. Okay, so this is my head size. You will adjust that to your head size. Once you get it to this desired space, you're going to staple 4 times. So just like that, sealing that so it's nice and firm. And that's ready to go. The visor, we don't need to do anything for the time being. Next, what you're going to do is cut 24 pieces reaching the inner circle. So you traced 2 circles, right? You traced the large one and then you traced a smaller one. When you cut, you're going to cut and reach the inner circle, okay? There should be, as I said, 24 pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and each piece should be about 1 inch, and it's slightly wider than 1 inch up here. So it's kind of tapering down a little bit. That way it allows us to fold with much more ease. Once you've cut out those 24 pieces, you're going to fold them down just like this, all in the same direction. Very important that they're all in the same direction. Take your time with this part. Mine's pre-cut and pre-folded, so it's going a little bit swifter for me. Just make sure you take your time with it, and it's all nice and symmetrical. All in the same direction. Lifting up the last one and sliding that under. What you should have is kind of a coffee filter-like appearance for this. That's flexible, that can kind of expand and contract like that. Okay? So that's the top part of the hat. Now, this next part is a little tricky, but if you just take your time with it, through this whole process, patience is key. You will be fine. So this part is going to be fastened to this part next. So we're going to need our duct tape. You're going to fasten about 4 pieces to start, but I'm pretty sure you're going to need more than that. Each piece can be about this size. Okay, so I'm going to pull off about 4 of those pieces to start. The reason we're using white duct tape, of course, is to conceal everything. I've used different tapes in the past, and white duct tape is sturdy, and also you can hide it easily since this is a white hat. Okay. Now, if you do it just kind of flat and you press down, you're going to have a hat that looks flat and weird like that, almost like a pie. So we want to make sure that it's raised when we do this. So, kind of bring it up just a little bit, coax it up. We can maybe fasten that first piece. That height. See how I'm raising the hat a little bit, kind of coaxing it up. And we're taping it on the inside. So I put part of the tape here and part of the tape underneath, just like that. Okay. See the tape? You're going to do that on the 4 sides. So once here, once in the back, and 2 on the sides. That's the main part to attach it. As I said, you're probably going to need more, but that's just to start. Okay. What you also want to remember is that a typical captain's cap is raised a little bit higher in the front and pressed down a little bit more in the back. So if you want to challenge yourself and try and get that same shape, that's good for authenticity. And it's really just a matter of kind of adjusting the hat. Obviously, I pressed down a little bit more in the back to get that lowered effect, and pulled up a little bit higher in the front to get that raised effect. Okay. So that's what you're going to go for. Raised in the front and slightly lowered in the back. So let's finish taping this. I'm actually using a little bit more tape to start, so you're welcome to do the same. Just taping on the inside here, taping the band to the circle. And you can kind of eye it as well and see if it's symmetrical and to your liking. If one side's a little bit disproportional or uneven, you can adjust that throughout this process. This is probably the most time-consuming process just because it is about eyeballing it just to see if it's to your liking. Getting more tape out now. Like I said, you're probably going to need a camera. You see already, this part's in the front is raised. You can always adjust it too. Take your time, that's the key. Don't want to rush this part. Because if you rush it, pulling off duct tape is kind of difficult. It's not going to come out so well. So you can see I have the raised part slightly lower in the back. Just press down here and raise in the front. So this is going to be my center point where I place the emblem. Next, what we're going to do is attach the visor. So again, the visor, you definitely want to make sure it's centered where the raised part is, because if you put it, like, just as an example, this is my center point. If I put the visor right here, it's kind of a weird place to put on the hat. You want to make sure it's in the front area. Just like that. You're going to tape this as well underneath. Again, eyeballing it. So the goal with the visor is to make sure that it's not too angled down, because it'll lay flat on your forehead. We don't want that. At the same time, you don't want it too horizontal either, because then we can't see it. So we want it slightly angled down, and again, that takes some care and time. You want to be watchful with that when you're attaching it. So we're probably going to need about 3 pieces to attach the visor. 1 for the center and 2 on the sides. We're going to do the center part first. So you're going to tape this. Let's say that there's a little bit of pencil. You can see pencil. Logically, you don't want the pencil to show, so you would face that part downward. That's the part that's hidden. So I'm going to just gently take that on the side there. Okay. So it's already in a good spot, actually. So I'm just going to carefully tape the insides. You can see it's kind of sitting neatly. So you're just going to tape here and here, so it doesn't jeopardize that shape at all. Just kind of gently put the tape in there, hold it in place. You're welcome to use more tape if you want. I find that 3 pieces is sufficient for me. And then reinforced pieces. Alright, and there you have it. There's the cap. So what you're going to do at this point is begin decorating. So if you are, for example, in Marine Corps, you would have one of these emblems pre-cut out, and you're just going to attach that to the center point right here. So that's where you would begin with Marine Corps decorations. If you are Air Force, you would cut out one of these and have that in the center point. Now for the color scheme of both, for Air Force, my 5th graders, if you're Air Force, blues and silvers are the most appropriate colors to use. So if you have, for example, blue and silver stars and you want to use that, that's a great way to go. If you are 6th grade Marine Corps, you would want to use reds and golds for your color scheme. So you would use like red and gold stars. I've also done this before, where I've taken gold tape or silver tape and wrapped that around the band here, and it just looks super cool. You're probably going to want to use glue to attach the emblem here, just because glitter is kind of difficult to stick to just with regular tape, but glue seems to do the trick. So that's one cool decoration suggestion. Stickers, glitter, things like that, you can get creative with it. Just remember to stick with the color scheme and to use the emblem provided. So I think that covers everything. Ultimately, this is what you can expect your final product to look like. You can use some of the suggestions that I've provided, or you can get creative in your own way. I'm sure it will look amazing no matter what. So best of luck to you, and have an awesome time with it.